G'day Dark Realmers, it's horror author and illustrator Michael J. Elliott here with you again. And today I've got another in the Hellraiser franchise for you. And today we're looking at Hellraiser Deader. Now, if this is your first time to the diaries, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. And if you want to keep up with the best book and movie reviews, trivia and creepypasta from the world of horror, then hit that subscribe button and the bell notification. Okay, Dark Realmers, well, it's time to start our review. And the box is calling, and it's never a good idea to keep Pinhead waiting. So let's get started. Okay, Dark Realmers, now Hellraiser VII Deader was released in 2005, and it stars Kari Werther as Amy Klein and Paul Reese as Winter. Now, this movie wasn't originally a Hellraiser story, okay, but I'll get to that a little bit later. Now, the story involves Amy, and she's a former New York newspaper reporter who's sort of dismissed for some reason from her job, and she's now working in England on a rather lowbrow magazine stroke newspaper called the London Underground, and she's just finished a piece on becoming a crack addict. And so when she gets back to the office, her boss invites her to take a look at a video that's just arrived from Romania. And this video shows a group of young people, and a woman is lying down, and there's a gun given to her, and she shoots herself in the head. Well, the leader of this group, Winter, actually starts breathing into her and brings her back to life. And Amy's like, oh my God, and this cult is known as Deader. And yeah, you can't get much deader than that, Dark Realmers. Well, of course, her boss wants her to go and investigate to find out what this cult is all about. Is it true? Has he just made, these people into zombies, or has he miraculously brought them back to life, And so Amy goes to Romania, and she gets the address of where the video was sent from the apartment block in Romania, and this movie was actually filmed in Romania. And she has to bribe the superintendent to get into the apartment, and says, look, Marla, the woman who apparently sent the video, is my sister. Just give me 5 minutes, and I'll just need to check she's all right. And of course, she goes in there, and she knows something's wrong, because under the door, before she gets in, she sees flies coming out. Well, the creepy scene we get next, Dark Realmers, is where she finds Marla actually choked to death. There's a rope attached to the back wall. She's sitting on the toilet, and she's like that. And so that's creepy enough, okay. And she's been there for a while. You can tell by the decomposing body, you can tell by the flies and so forth like that. And she's got in her hand, surprise, surprise, the puzzle box. Yes, that's right. So Amy tries to get this without getting too close to the body, but she, it's a bit tricky. And she also notices a large brown envelope next to this body. So after grabbing the cube, she grabs this envelope which has 2 words written on it: help us. Okay, so she knows there's some sort of problem, there's something going on with this cult. Well, back at her hotel room, she starts having these experiences, chains coming out of the box and grabbing her, and she sees Pinhead and so forth, okay? But the real story involves her quest to find this cult, and this cult want her to be part of the Debtor group. Now, there's lots of horrible scenes of supposedly Debtor cult members on a sort of train where there's all bodies and everything. It's really weird. And apparently Winter wants her. He needs her, and what he's trying to do, he's actually found a way into Pinhead's dimension. Okay, and of course Pinhead's not happy about this, and he wants Amy to help him, establish or finish, getting this dimension, all set up and whatever. And it turns out that Winter is actually the descendant of the original puzzle maker, who made the original box. Okay, now this the scene where Amy is actually stabbed through the heart, and she doesn't die, she comes back. But then we get a really huge scene of her with a knife sticking through her in the bathroom, just pissing out blood, and she gets the knife out, and then she goes to find some help from these Debtor cult members or whatever, and of course, she's pouring blood out and everything like that. Okay, well, I won't spoil the ending for you, Dark Realmers. Needless to say, Pinhead makes an appearance, and everything with Amy comes to a conclusion. Now, we get that Amy's been abused by her father as a young girl, and that plays into her fears and whatever. And of course, that tends to happen a lot in the Hellraiser franchise, that, the person in possession of the box always has some dark secret, that could lead them to be, collected by Pinhead. Okay, Dark Realmers, well, this movie was directed by Rick Bota, and the original writer was Neil Marshall Stevens. Now, the interesting thing about this movie is that it wasn't originally a Hellraiser movie. No. Neil Marshall Stevens wrote this as a standalone horror, just called Debtor. And as a standalone movie, it would have been fantastic, a cult that reanimates dead people. But Dimension Films, who were the film company behind the Hellraiser franchise, bought up the screenplay for $1 million, and they just let it sit there and gather dust. And then after a long period, they got Tim Day, a writer, to totally rewrite the script so it included Pinhead and the Cenobites, and tie in with the Hellraiser franchise. And this was one of the worst things they could have done, okay? Because it's just a very, very cheap attempt to get the movie into the Hellraiser franchise. Now, one of the things about this movie is that it was a direct-to-video movie, okay? No theatrical release. And that tells you a lot, because film producers and you think film producers and so forth, just automatically the movies go to the pictures. They don't, Dark Realms. They need a distributor, and a distributor is someone who arranges, how many cinemas it'll get released in, how long the run will be, and so forth like that. And Hollywood tends to very cleverly, they don't like you to know that they can get a distributor, and they'll use things on the DVD and video cover like saying exclusive to DVD, or too horrible for the cinemas, and that's bullshit, Dark Realmers. It's just their way of trying to turn a bad situation good. Now, a lot of people were really, really disappointed that basically this movie just tacked on, the whole Pinhead and Cenobites thing. And in fact, Pinhead and the Cenobites only appear in like 3 scenes, for less than probably 10 minutes. And that just shows you how they were desperate to just find some way of tying it all together. And a lot of the fans made a huge outcry about this, and they've said that Rick Boter has ruined the franchise. And I tend to agree. Now, I enjoyed the movie, even if it hadn't been part of the Hellraiser franchise. As I said, Dark Realmers, it would have been a very, very good standalone movie, because the concept was really great, and the scenery, where she's going into underground, ancient, buildings with underground wet, walls and, creepy atmospheric Romanian buildings and so forth. Just wonderful. And, if it had been a standalone story, it would have been great. But this is just another case of how Hollywood treats moviegoers like shit. And excuse the language, but they do. Well, a lot of them do. I'm not saying all Hollywood studios do it, but this is one of those situations, Dark Realmers, where Dimension Films has thought, okay, we can make a quick buck here. Yeah, we'll make it a Hellraiser franchise entry. Pardon me. And they just took a good script, had someone totally tinker with it and pull it apart and throw the engine of it away, just so that they could fit Pinhead in there. And it's a real shame, because what they've done is basically rip off fans, and fans were absolutely livid about this. Okay, and it's interesting to note that this movie was made in 2005, and the next Hellraiser movie didn't appear till 2011. So that shows you that they, moviegoers and fans of certain franchises have a very long memory, and they take a long time to forgive. And, directors and so forth tend to be a little bit wary, if they get the scathing backlash from viewers. Okay. Now, as I said, if you watch this movie just as a standalone, okay, and think about the script as it was intended to be, where you have this cult, in Romania, bringing people back to life, and they're all troubled people. They're all the sort of people fascinated with death, and they're not goths or emos or anything like that, but they're disenfranchised youth and young adults who want something more. They want to experience a thrill. They want to know a bit more about the dark side. Okay. And of course, Dimension Films said, "Oh, well, that's good. That ties in with Hellraiser. Yes, we'll get Pinhead to show them the dark side." And it was truly a waste of, Doug Bradeley, who plays Pinhead. It was a waste of his talents. I mean, he has some great one-lines in there, but then there wasn't that many he had to say because it didn't go that long. Okay, Dark Realmers. Now, you can find this movie here on YouTube, okay? But try and find a good copy or a good channel to watch it on, because the one I watched it on, unfortunately, the audio and the visuals were mismatched, and it was really hard to concentrate on, okay? But the good news, it's also available on DVD and on Blu-ray. Now, I'm one of those people that, if I'm into a franchise, now I've got some of the Hellraiser movies on DVD, and it's just for the sake of having the whole collection, whether they're good, bad, or indifferent. I have to have it, so I'll be buying this, okay? And also, too, I need to see a good copy, so, there's little subtleties there I've missed. So, like I said, for Hellraiser fans, yes, you will be disappointed, and I'm not going to deny that, but for people who aren't, the Pinhead and that, they're just characters, they're nothing special, You can watch this. You don't need to watch the entire Hellraiser series to understand what's happening with this. So that's one good thing. So you'll enjoy this. Not for the squeamish, and we know who we're talking about here, don't we? Yes, because there's lots of blood and horrific scenes and so forth. But it's a romp. It's disappointing because it's basically Dimension Films ripping off their fan base. But like I said, it's an interesting addition. Okay, now it's not a worthy addition to the Hellraiser franchise by any means. And by this stage, Clive Barker, the creator of Pinhead and the Cenobites, is getting really pissed off with, the treatment of his characters. But that's another story. Okay, Dark Realmers, well, that's it from me, Michael J. Elliott. I hope you've liked it, my review. I know this one was a bit shorter than normal in terms of plot and so forth, but it's one of those movies where... because it was, trying to mesh that Hellraiser and the whole bringing back the dead thing, it's a little bit hard to sort of, analyse it without sort of feeling a little bit disappointed because of the way they've treated the Hellraiser, and also disappointed because we don't know what the original script was like and how well it would have played out just as an original movie, okay? So I'm just reviewing this one purely on the basis because it's been released as a Hellraiser movie in the Hellraiser franchise. Now, as I said, you can find this movie on YouTube and on Blu-ray and DVD, so check it out for yourselves. And that's it from me for this episode of the Dark Realm Diaries. I hope you've enjoyed the review, and if you have, give us a thumbs up and leave a comment. Hey, have you seen Theta? What did you think of it? Okay, from the reviews I've seen on the IMDb database, it wasn't terribly popular amongst fans, okay? Well, that's it, Dark Realmers. I'll leave you now, stay in the light when you watch this one. Okay, Dark Realmers, bye for now.